you can see that here the author, Birdsell, begins to use the first person to describe what he's going to do in the paper, how he's going to organize it, what the goals are, and how he's going to go about fulfilling that goal. This is what I call the schematic, because it's here where you get the verbal map of the article. Now you can see that right in here you begin with the I will examine Bush's signing statements. I will begin with a brief description of the signing statements. I will follow with the review of key characteristics. I will then argue that the language, now he goes on in the paper to develop all of this. This is toward the beginning of his paper, and I would encourage you to look at the PDF to see where he positions this schematic. In fact, you can see here that the paper starts at 335, so he's just a few pages into the opening. But he's taking time out in 2 paragraphs to let you know how he's going to organize the rest of the paper. So that's what I call a schematic. Now, in the schematic, you might, or close to it, you might find a statement that lets you know how the author's work is original. So let's go ahead and read these 2 sentences here, and you can see the statement. The President's signing statements have received a great deal of public attention since the American Bar Association's House of Delegates adopted a resolution at their 2006 annual convention opposing, quote, as contrary to the rule of law and our constitutional system of separation of powers, the misuse of presidential signing statements by claiming the authority or stating the intention as disregard or decline to enforce all or part of a law the President has signed, or to interpret such a law as a matter inconsistent with the clear intent of Congress, end quote. They have received scant attention. Now, the signing statements have received scant attention, however, from rhetoricians. So although they have gotten a great deal of public attention, they are being, according to this present author, overlooked as a subject of serious study by rhetoricians, a group of people that are very well qualified to look at the style and the import of the style concerning these statements. So, this is his way of telling you, I'm going to take that look. I'm going to start this task that rhetoricians should have started but haven't. Okay, so he's adding to the conversation, if you will, by analyzing the signing statements from the rhetorical view as a rhetorician. Okay, so that's his that would be his voice statement. So whenever you run across an author that says, this is how my work is original, then that author is making a voice statement. Okay, let's look at another one. This is from an article about Bart Simpson, or The Simpsons, by Brian L. Ott. And this is page 58, so this is page 57 right here. The article starts on page 56, so it's toward the opening again. And then you get the sort of language that says stuff like, I wish in this article to problematize and then clarify those claims in an important way. So this is his goal statement. Efforts to theorize shifting conceptions of identity have proceeded largely without, in Kellner's words, systematic and sustained examination of the actual texts and practices of popular media culture, end quote. Indeed, in Van Poke's essay, one of the most sophisticated treatments of the subject, Van Peek's essay, one of the most sophisticated treatments of the subject, makes not a single reference to a specific media text. Consequently, much of the existing literature regarding postmodern identity represents the break from modernist notions far too cleanly and in a manner that does not adequately reflect the lived experiences of present-day subjects. The hope is that by studying a specific case, the theory can be refined so as to better assist people in negotiating their rhetorical environments. So basically what he's telling you is, look, I'm going to do that. A lot has been written on a very theoretical level about postmodern identity formation. But no one has taken this theory and actually looked at how it applies to a specific case. So I'm going to do that. And in fact, in his paper, he does that to The Simpsons. So that's a voice statement. and it's mixed in with the schematic, all right, because the schematic sort of starts up here. But it gets a little more clear right here. It says, to accomplish this aim, this article undertakes an analysis of the Fox Network's 30-minute award-winning series, The Simpsons. Okay. Keeps on going. And then it says, first, no, this is still part of his, this is part of his actual argument right here. Okay. These two functions serve then as the general organizational scheme for this article. Okay, so now he's going to say these two notions that he raises right here, he's going to organize his article around it. In the first major section, I argue that Bart, Homer, and Lisa demonstrate distinctive, though not exclusive, models of identity. These models serve only as guideposts, and viewers often perform their identities in ways that creatively combine differing models. In section 2, I contend that consumers find a variety of symbolic resources for enacting the identity models modeled in the series. The identity modes modeled in the series. But first, I comment on the Simpsons' history, status, and importance as a quote. First, he's going to introduce it. So you really get 3 parts here, and he tells you the order of the parts, okay? And what each part is going to try to do. He's going to first introduce, then in the second part, he's going to try to show this, and then in the third, he's going to try to, the second part, he's going to try to show this, and the third, he's going to try to show this. So a schematic is basically when the author just takes a time out, so to speak, and says, look, you know, let me just tell you what my goal is, how it's original to me, and how I'm going to arrange my paper. Now, he or she may often give you the thesis statement too. We haven't really looked at thesis statements here, but I thought these were pretty good examples of schematics, so I wanted you to see them so that you could see an example of an author basically giving you a verbal map early on of what the rest of the argument is, how it's going to be arranged and what it's going to look like.